Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our first meeting of August. Glad to see everybody made it on, that their computers decided not to be tardy, especially my own. Does anybody in particular have announcements? I know Amaryllis had a point or two.
I have one announcement.
Yeah?
I just wanted to let people know about the Butterfly Storybook. We're going to be starting on time for September 9th. And we still have a couple of jobs we need people to fill.
Okay.
We're going to need a lot of help with putting the books together. That's the main thing. We'll need people to, of course, we need judges, but we're trying to see if people will fill some of these jobs. So hopefully, being here at work, I'll have quiet and I'll be able to send out my list of what jobs are still outcoming. I have some volunteers already, but we'll still need things done. But I want everybody to get excited about it, okay? This is going to be a great year.
Okay, September 9th announcement to the schools, or?
Yes, to the clubs. We'll send it out to all the, well, actually, I sent it to all the Rotarians in the district.
It's World Literacy Day, Dawn.
All right.
So there we are.
What kind of jobs do you typically need? I know the translation stays pretty specialized, but
yeah. Actually, Henriette promised to head that. She's going to chair that, co-chair. She'll chair that. And then, but I'm looking at my list. Let me see if I can find it now, because my, let's see here, Word.
You got 5 work spreadsheets open. You got to find some Rotaries.
I know, dear God. Yeah, so the main thing is we didn't think about it last year, but we probably need someone to proofread once the book is loaded. We'll get the book loaded into MySpace, Create Space, and then I was the only one proofreading it, and I partially read it, and I missed some things. So we probably need 2 or 3 people to do that. And we do need proofreaders, not just judges, but people who will go over it, because one person proofreading just doesn't cut it. I mean, you really need someone else to look at it with clean eyes, who hasn't seen it before, so we do need proofreaders. And then also we need help with the whole putting the book together. We need, illustrations and things like that.
I can help with the illustrations. For the illustrations.
Beautiful.
Jason's raised his hand. You have a question?
Yes. So when you say proofreading, what level of proofreading are we doing? Are we just doing for typos, or are we actually correcting grammar and stuff like that?
No, you can, but the main thing is to look at it once it's printed. That's the proofreading part that's that I had trouble with last year, because, for example, Eleuthera Club is in the Bahamas, but we missed and made it Eleuthera Cayman Islands.
Oops.
So you want to look for things like that too. You want to look for grammar, spelling. Well, don't change the way the person wrote the story, but you can fix the grammar. You can put punctuation, I guess, if it sounds better, but you don't want to change their sentences, because it is their story.
Well, I'll be happy to proofread.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, put me down for that.
Okay.
Okay. Amaryllis, what news did you have? Hello. Amaryllis, you there?
Okay.
She was there. I think she just... No, she should still be there. Hey-ho. We get
Look.
back to you?
Could be a potty break.
Yeah, okay. So, Rotary Minute.
I need inspiration, folks. I appreciate the opportunity to do this, but I'd like some suggestions as whatever. So I'm going to just start right now with what do we do? Rotary members believe that we have a shared responsibility to take action on our world's most persistent issues. Our 35,000 plus clubs work together to promote peace, fight disease, provide clean water, sanitation, and hygiene, save mothers and children, support education, and grow local economies. That's sort of who we are as what we do. And then we have the four-way test that guides us in how we do these things. But there's also the Rotary Code of Conduct. And that is a little harder for me to read here.
Okay.
What happened? Okay. And some of the, okay, well, I apologize for this. I do not know why here we go.
Okay.
Computers. The Code of Conduct, the things we should think about. As a Rotarian, I will exemplify the core value of integrity in all behaviors and activities. I'll use my vocational experience and talents to serve in Rotary. I will conduct all of my personal, business, and professional affairs ethically, encouraging and fostering high ethical standards as an example to others. I'll be fair in all dealings with others and treat them with the respect, view them as fellow human beings. I'll promote recognition and respect for all occupations which are useful to society. I will offer my vocational talents to provide opportunities for young people to work for the relief of the special needs of others, to improve the quality of life in my community. I will honor the trust that Rotary and fellow Rotarians provide and not do anything that will bring disfavor or reflect adversely on Rotary or fellow Rotarians. I will not seek from a fellow Rotarian a privilege or advantage not normally accorded others in a business or professional relationship. Now, that one has always been a little sticky point because in many cases we go to fellow Rotarians in the business that we're seeking their professional services in, and it's almost automatic to say, and there will be a Rotary discount. And that is not something we're supposed to do. Amaryllis.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm here now. I was trying to send all of you an email, and it was just not coming out. John, to your point, I went to one of the breakout sessions in Toronto, which was about, I don't think it is an action group, but it is a fellowship, or at least they had a booth that it's this thing that it's called Rotary Means Business. Mm-hmm. And this is addressing this point about doing business among Rotarians. And it was great to see that there is some clarification and some really good-hearted green light to these things. And the whole point is as long as it is clear, and what that means is that we don't take the opportunity from a citizen to favor a Rotarian unduly or that kind of things. And just across the board, it was understood that we just keep it out. But they are actually encouraging little by little to go back to this original idea of Rotarians strengthening also their businesses through their relationship as Rotarians, so long we keep our ethics in the place we are supposed to. And it even includes sourcing for grants, as long as it is really, really disclosed and really well explained. And again, we are not doing a disservice to a citizen, a fellow citizen, or a fellow business person in our community in favor of a Rotarian. So long those things are great and in place, are clear, we're good to go, which I think is absolutely awesome.
Amaryllis, thank you. This is why we have a Rotary Minute. And I have used I believe I was allotted 3.
Well, I know those are kind of suggested to make sure I don't let things go on too long. But if something good comes up, like Amaryllis had news from convention, then sure, we can be flexible. And yes, we'd like all club members to be participating. So if there's some point about Rotary that you'd like to highlight, I'm sure John would take volunteers to take over Rotary Minute for some of this. I thank him that he's been willing to sort of lead the Rotary Minute, but he doesn't need to do that alone. And we'd like to see everybody at some point making presentations about whatever they particularly know in Rotary or would like to find out. I mean, Rotary Minute can be a bunch of questions and see what we want to research. And if we see something we really like, we can put it on the schedule for a future speaker. We'll go find somebody. Don't panic, John.
Well, I wanted to recognize the visiting Rotarians that we have with us. This morning, once again, we have Terry Robinson, presently in Reston, Virginia, but his heart and his past are undoubtedly in St. Thomas.
Okay.
And, we're glad to have you, Terry, and good to be able to see you this week.
Yeah, I echo that. And Terry, you didn't try to call me this week, did you? I got a call from somewhere vaguely in the Reston area, but I wasn't sure if it was you or a scammer.
I sent you a text.
Okay.
Just on the spelling of my name.
Yeah, that I think I got.
That's the only communication.
All right. Yeah, I've got so many Terrys I'm juggling right now that I get my I's and Y's mixed up. I apologize.
And then forgive me if I am not current, but I believe Jason is a visitor.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember. Jason, have we induced you yet? I'm inducted, whatever.
I don't think I've been induced yet or inducted. So I am technically still a visitor from the Rotary Club of St. Thomas.
Okay.
Well, we're drawing.
All right. And then that's one reason why our core speakers this week is actually giving our 2 prospective members a chance to tell us more about themselves. You'll each get, take 10 minutes or so if you can, or less if you don't have more to say, but between, what clubs you've been in, how you got into Rotary, how many wives, dogs, kids, all that. Just, we'd like to get to know you a little more rather than, the new name or the person who's coming who is PR district, whatever, or introduce yourself as you wish. Terry, would you like, or Jason, maybe you'd like to go first?
Sure.
Yeah, so I can go first if Terry's okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Terry,
okay. So this is the second or third or fourth introduction. So I'll make this one a little bit more informative than I'm Jason Lewis from St. Thomas. So my name is Jason Lewis, and I am from St. Thomas, at least for the next 4 hours and 46 minutes, who's counting. So I am I kind of have a weird professional background, and it took a little while when I joined Rotary to get my vocation down, because I come from a weird background. I come from academia because I'm a professor now, and I did go to school for a PhD in computer science. But right before I graduated with my PhD in computer science, my little brother happened to be murdered, which really kind of devastated me, and it also gave me a calling. And so I saw the way that his murder was treated by the local police, and it really made me mad. And I'm one of those that my personal philosophy is, don't just gripe about something, do something to fix it. So I said, I can't really do anything to investigate his murder, but if I think the police aren't doing the greatest job, maybe I can go become a cop and try to help. And so that's what I did. I became a police officer, and I tried to get on with the federal government, and they looked at my resume and said, no, you're overeducated. We can't hire you. So I went and worked for the local police department, and I started in Atlanta, and that's where I met my beautiful wife, Michelle. A lot of you know Michelle. And then shortly after we got married, so we were in Atlanta about 2 years, we moved to Denver, Colorado, which I loved. And while in Denver, I expanded my law enforcement career, and I ended up becoming a computer crimes investigator, which was my ultimate goal. And I did that, and I was with a local police department, but they tasked me to the Secret Service. So the Secret Service does task force, interagency task force. So I was on an interagency task force with the Secret Service, and I loved it. And then I got disabled. I like to say I was broken. So I got to retire. But when you get broken, you don't retire with a gold watch. A lot of times you can retire and you get yourself a nice little companion. So my little companion, I'm trying to show you, Frankie, who's laying in my lap. That's who I got as my parting gift when I left the police department. So I've got Frankie, he's my little companion and my best friend. And so when I retired, I was thinking about just staying home because, I retired and I had a pension, but Michelle looked at me and said, you're not staying home. You've got to go get out of the house and get another job or I'm going to kill you. And so I went and started in academia again, teaching, and I started teaching cybersecurity and digital forensics, which is what I did in law enforcement, and I loved it. And then after doing that for a little while, I got a job offer here in St. Thomas, and it was just like, woo, yay. So Michelle and I moved down here, and that was 3 years ago. And that's when I found Rotary. So I didn't know anything about Rotary when I lived on the mainland. And I started hearing about it, and then Michelle was interested, so I started going with her to Rotary clubs, and I'm like, wow, these are my kind of people. They like to have fun. They like to drink a few libations, and then they also like to help people. What more could you want out of a group of people? Fun people that like to help people. And so I went around to all 5 clubs on St. Thomas, and I found the club that I loved that fit in with my personality. And so I joined that club 2 years ago. So I believe it's been 2 years. And then just recently we decided to move back to the mainland. And I love the Caribbean so much. I was like, I don't want to leave the district. And so I started looking, and I had done a couple talks for the eClub. And I like the personality of the eClub, and I liked the way that you're district-wide. I kind of like that flair of being, it's all the islands and more. We got UK, we got Cincinnati. So, we got people spread all over the place, which I really like. And so I started coming to the meetings, and I like the projects that you work on. And so I'm hoping I found my home for the next chapter in my Rotary life. So that's kind of who I am.
Well, that's scary for those of us who have gotten a lot older and done a lot less. It's like reading about Mozart's life, and you was, my Lord. I do understand the retirement thing. You're married for better or for worse, but not for lunch.
Yes.
Get out of there.
Never for lunch.
Jason, thank you. Terry.
Yes, John.
You're on. Tell us how you got here.
Okay. I can back up a little bit. In September last year, when Hurricanes Irma and Maria came, we were living at Seacliff over on the south side. But unfortunately, Maria had different plans. We were right on probably 20 feet from the ocean. And that was very nice when the cruise ships were going by or there was a sailboat race. But with 30-foot high waves, it wasn't so exciting, even being on the third floor, because the roof went and other things happened. And I was in the bathroom. Suzanne was in the States helping with the grandchildren because our son is involved with the National Capital Rescue Squad. So he was in Houston and Jacksonville. But lo and behold, these two gentlemen on Thursday afternoon came and they had a satellite phone. So they said, I'm sure you'd like to talk with your son. And I said, boy, that'd be great. And that happened. And they said, we'll come back and check with you on Friday. Well, Seacliff had a big generator for the 3 buildings, and it was supposed to last for weeks, but it only lasted 24 hours. So on Friday, we were all outside because with the water-soaked carpets and furniture and everything, it was kind of unpleasant inside. So about 5 o'clock, I figured they're not coming. They must have had something more important to do. And then around 5:15, this huge helicopter comes around the corner of our condominium building. It goes up to the next building, and 2 gentlemen rappel down the line and walking down the circuitous route down to Seacliff, where we were all in the parking area talking. They said, oh, we're looking for Terry. So I gave them like a minute or two, and then I said, I'm Terry. And they said, well, we're here to rescue you, to evacuate you. What do you want to take with you? So we went back up to the condo. I had my laptop, and I had another small bag. And the nice thing about the bag, it had a Rotary emblem on it. It was given to me by President Paul Domingue. And so I had a pair of sneakers and a pair of jeans and a shirt, and that was it. So as we were going up through the crowd, they all said, Terry, who are you? We thought you were a drafting shaft and we're office furniture. I said, I am, but I'm also a secret agent for the government, and President Trump has called me back to Washington. And with that, we continued walking up. They sent down a line, hoisted me up, and we went to St. Croix, the hospital. They checked me out there for a couple of hours. And Saturday morning, I flew from St. Croix to San Juan, directly to Dulles, and was with my family about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But now let me go back and tell you about Rotary, because that's been a big part of my life, a very big part. I've been a member of the Rotary Club of St. Thomas for 48 years this coming September, next month. And my service in that club was filled with achievements, some of which benefited a number of different people and some individuals. And how I got here, Suzanne and I were dating, and then we were engaged when I was at the Harvard Graduate School of Design in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And there was a thread that tied us together with the then Governor Ralph Paiewonsky. And that thread was that Professor Isaacs was a professor at Harvard and also a consultant to Governor Paiewonsky. So he put together a team to build a new town in the central area of St. Croix for government offices, services, private industry, and basically a new town. The towns of Christiansted and Frederiksted were to be restored to their original historic character. It would be basically for tourism, retail, and private businesses. Suzanne and I were part of the team selected for this exciting new adventure because they knew if I passed and if they didn't interview your spouse or fiance at that point, they had seen it happen too many times, and I know you've all seen it happen, where a couple comes down either with or without children, and all of a sudden the wife goes back to the States in 4 to 6 weeks or 2 months. But we both passed, so we came down in 1966 in June. And once we got in St. Thomas, we realized that we were absolutely new to the island. We knew no one. We joined All Saints Cathedral Church on Garden Street. I joined Toastmasters. And Charles Renford proposed me as a member of the Rotary Club of St. Thomas. I looked at other service organizations, and there was no question that I wanted to be in Rotary, and particularly the Rotary Club of St. Thomas. Just as Jason said, it's a club with some great people and great feelings. So we developed a number of different projects over the years and a special bond between members. Just as we were mentioning earlier, when I first joined Rotary, that bond including supporting fellow Rotarians if you needed someone to landscape your yard, if you needed someone to, a doctor, whatever. Rotarians, there was a very close bond, which I found over the years did not exist as it did when I first joined Rotary. From the very beginning, I was involved in the club scholarship program, which was started by Al Brown. And I profoundly believed that it was imperative that our club educate the VI youth so they could become more productive citizens in our community. At the same time, Suzanne joined the Inner Wheel Club. And for some of you newer members who don't know about Inner Wheel, that was a group of women who were wives or fiancées or directly related to a Rotarian. And they would usually help with decorating for functions. But as the years went on, they became much more a powerhouse, and we're doing things with myoelectric limbs on a national basis and helping in many different areas in St. Thomas. I also served as a director and officer on the Rotary Club of St. Thomas Foundation for many years, and I was president for 9 years in that particular body. In the foundation, I don't know the exact figures, but when I left, the portfolio was valued at around $728,000. The goal of the board and the membership is to have a $1 million corpus within the foreseeable future so that we could fund even a greater number of scholarships and other projects like the Boys and Girls Club. I was instrumental in having our Rotary Club and the Rotary Foundation apply and receive our 501c3 tax status from IRS, which enabled us to solicit corporations and private individuals to make financial contributions to the foundation and therefore receive tax credits. Our first major donor was Soraya Kofeld, who was also a Rotarian, who made a $25,000 contribution to set up the Gordon L. Kofeld Scholarship Fund. And she did this with Gordon's background in instruction and technical expertise. That's for the area she decided to award a $1,000 scholarship each year for someone graduating from Charlotte Amalie High School in that particular field. I served as president of the club from 2005 to 2006. And during my presidency, I was charged with finding a new home for our club to have its lunch meetings. A couple of our members got a little upset with the fish because it was square and we couldn't decide what kind of fish it was. It didn't like grouper or yellowtail. And unfortunately, they didn't leave it at the club. They went and complained numerous times to the manager. So when I had taken office, he suggested that in 2007, perhaps we would like to find a new home. So as you know, that's hard to find a home for 75 members and guests, plus parking. But we did finally settle on a room with a view at Bluebirds Castle. And this year, had it not been again for the hurricanes, this would have been our 12th year there. Another achievement as president was the creation of a president's collar with a bar for each president with a corresponding year of service. And the reason this was a priority is because our Rotary secretary, Emily Plant's home burnt down many years earlier, and everything we had, she being secretary, she had in her home, and it was gone, including the collar. So now we have an up-to-date one. It's just the responsibility of the current president to add one bar instead of having to add so many. I also designed a rotary pin. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to show it to you. It has the St. Thomas on it with a rotary symbol. And I designed this and had it done by one of the manufacturers in honor of attending the 100th anniversary convention of Rotary. In attending different conferences prior to that, the exchange of pins seemed a very important part of going to a convention. And this one was very popular because everyone knew of St. Thomas, and it says U.S. Virgin Islands. And I would suggest that, and I have, but I don't think it's happened, that most clubs, as they have newer members and things, assign them to designing the pin and having it produced, so those people going to the convention for their club can have this pin to wear and also to give out. RILA was a big part of my Rotary experiences. We had that in St. John at Maho Bay when Maho Bay was still going. And it was just amazing. We had Miss America come and other speakers to address the young people and goals and where they might want to go in terms of their careers. And it was just, we all ate together. And it was a fantastic experience, both for all of us, Heflin Meyer and myself, sort of co-chaired it. But we had other individuals from St. John, like John, and other people helping us out too. When Sue Boland was president, she charged myself, Larry Benjamin, and Jim Tunick with compiling the 57-year history of our club. Again, this was a daunting task because many of the records had been destroyed in the fire. But at the end of June 2005, we presented her with a DVD representing the highlights of 57 years of the Rotary Club of St. Thomas. And I think you can probably understand. And she presented each member on behalf of the committee a copy of this DVD. And one of the important things, just as I mentioned Inner Wheel earlier, I made the last segment on this DVD for Inner Wheel. So they have a history of Inner Wheel in St. Thomas and some of their national programs like the Myra Electric Limb Banks. And again, it's one of those things we even looking at VI or heritage, if things aren't documented, then we lose them. So this was 57 years. Some of you, like Roger and Diana, would enjoy going back and seeing stores like El Brahoy on Main Street advertising and the program booklet and everything. So we tried to be as complete as possible. We also did, speaking of saving things, this is the, each year we did a DVD for RILA. And again, this was so the students who participated and the chaperones could all have a memory of the good times we had and things we had learned. So I would just encourage everyone, even maybe the eClub of the Caribbean, to look into preparing something to document what we're doing in the history if I become a member. So there, basically, I've done a few other things. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow and a member of the Paul Harris Society, and have been involved in a lot of numerous different committees and offices. And I would just say that I found in my 48 years that the more you do for other people, the more you grow as an individual and as yourself, and then can live the goals of Rotary on a daily basis. Thank you.
Jerry, thank you. I think that Barry would approve of you being an inspiration.
Okay. Very kind.
Dennis, speak up. Unmute.
Terry, is it great to see you? It's been a number of years. It's Dennis Stockton.
Hi, Dennis. My goodness.
You didn't recognize me.
I didn't recognize you to begin with, no.
Well, that's good. I must have stayed young.
Yeah. It's that beard and goatee then.
That's it.
Camouflage you.
Terry, if you join our club, you will be another senior member of the club and the only one in the club then who is a Rotarian longer than I have been, and also a resident of St. Thomas longer than I had been. I was a resident there for 37 years, of course, as you know.
Yes.
I know virtually everybody that you just mentioned in your terrific speech. And welcome. It's great to see you. How is your lovely wife?
Oh, she's very well.
Say hello for me, please.
She just finished her second year as District 696 chairman. And now she's a past president of past international board director for 2 years. And I think she's going to find a few new things that she has to do to keep herself really as busy as she was within her will.
Diana, I noticed you shaking your head about the length of service.
Yes, because
I'm sorry, Roger. I forgot
that's
Roger.
okay. My better half has. He doesn't match Terry, but he certainly more than matches you, Dennis. You and I joined the same year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
All right. I thank you both for entertaining us and enlightening us. It's good to know what you bring to Rotary. We can draw on it for the club and for doing good works. Dawn, I think you have.
Certainly. Okay. Thank you again to both of you. I learned a lot about you. I know it's often weird to feel like you have to virtually stand up and present longer than a minute or two to a bunch of people you don't necessarily know. But it does help the rest of us to get a real flavor for who you are and what you've done and what kind of things you're interested in a way we just don't get out of a questionnaire. So I know we have a board meeting coming up the 18th of August. And if the both of you are still interested in joining the club, I think we can move forward.
I'm very interested.
Okay. So that's going to be one of the main points on our 18th of August board meeting, which is going to be the hour before the club meeting. Next on the agenda.
Question?
Yeah?
Amaryllis,
Yes, Terry.
did you get a letter of transfer from Paul Devane?
I think I did. Yes, I know I got Jason's, and I'll look into my St. Thomas correspondence to make sure that I got Paul's.
I tried to reach you, but I know your communications are difficult.
Well, we were going through a very crazy internet period here, and we still, for some reason, don't have internet on Mondays. That's why we are on that schedule. But it's very stupidly ridiculous. And then the rest of the week, it's very weak from 1 to 6. So forget doing things in the afternoon, especially uploading stuff. And the amount of items of such ridiculous nature is increasing. So maybe we have a stand-up comedy meeting. I can tell you more about these things.
I'm sure it'd be very interesting.
Okay. Good. The next thing on the agenda for today is we have a few goals we didn't get set last week, and I think we have a bit more assistance of the membership this week anyway. So what I'd like to do is go over to Rotary Club Central, and I'll share screen, and then we can just finalize together what we want our goals to be. Again, it's going to take the whole club to get them done, so I would like everybody's opinion as we commit to numbers and put them in, or say, no, that's not something we're going to go after. So I will share screen. Desktop.
I will look for hands up, but I do request that you use the automatic raise your hand if you want to speak, and if you're not speaking, please mute yourself.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Can everybody see the Rotary Club Central screen?
Yes.
Okay. Last week we went over members and engagement and Rotary Foundation giving, and I can flip back to that if we want. I will tell you, for last year, we've got quite a few things where we just never put in our date of what we had done. And when I went back to try and enter them this morning, I can't enter, so I think that is closed. So one thing I want to do is, as we go quarterly, we may give an update to the club members, but we will be putting our numbers in as we go this year. We're not waiting till the end of the year to do our reporting, because that's why we have nothing reported for last year. For service projects, how many service projects will your club complete during the Rotary year? We just haven't been good at reporting because we've done Butterfly Storybook every single year. In addition, we're working on a global grant for with Homeopaths Without Borders. I don't know that that's going to get completed in a year, so maybe we don't want to put that in. But we going to, I think we could at least do one thing like we did last year, where we each went to the gym or out walking or something and tracked our steps or our mileage, and then got people to sponsor us or sponsor each other so much per mile for a little fundraiser.
How about the Jamaica Women's Center? Will that count?
That's going to wrap up this year, so that will count. So in my book, we start at 3, and then if other people have a project they really would like to do and think, well, we ought to be able to get 4, we should be able to come up with something else, even online. I could see a stretch goal of 4.
Blue. Unmute.
Oh.
Okay, yes. Just to give you an update, I have connected with, I guess she's the head of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library here in Canada. And she's on holiday. She was on holidays all this week, but she says she'll get back to me. So we might be able to make some kind of a connection with them.
All right.
That's a possibility. Should we put 4 and then we can always...
Jason has a comment.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to, since we are talking about service project and making sure that we get them recorded, I do remember at the training I've had at district and international level, we want to make sure we're also, as members, keeping track of the hours we put in at service projects. And we need to keep that reported, because for a lot of the international donors, they like to see that. So when this goes up from Club Central to RI, those hours, not just project numbers and not just dollars we get donated, but the hours we work go to our donors to show that we're putting in sweat equity. So we want to make sure we keep track of that.
I think that is going to be a separate.
There is a section for that.
Yes. Yeah, I think we need a separate group within the Butterfly Committee and the Butterfly to try and consolidate all that, because there are a lot of hours from a lot of people that go into that every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we forget to tell somebody or know who to tell.
That's one reason why I'd like to get a system going where we're compiling monthly as we go. Remember that Club of the Month involves some of that too, and I would say that for each Club of the Month report, collect the information in the last week of the month, and then by the 5th of the following month we have to report, and we can put everything in there: volunteer hours, tracking towards citation. There's ways to squeeze that into even the Club of the Month report, because the district wants to know it too. That's why the Club of the Month was invented. It was mostly as an encouragement for people to report. But it's kind of dumb to report there and then not put it in Rotary Club Central.
Jason wants back in. Yeah.
Yeah?
So what I was going to say is if you guys think it'll be useful, I can make a nice form that we put on our website that we as Rotarians, just when we get done doing something, let's say the end of the week I worked on proofreading the books, I can just go to the form right then and put my hours in the name of the project from a drop-down list, and it'll go into a spreadsheet. So when you go to put the stuff in, it's real easy to keep track of.
That would be lovely.
All right.
Okay, well, I'll get working on that. So that way, and I'll send it to your webmaster. So that way, it can, or your secretary, so it can be put on the website.
Okay.
Excellent.
Good.
So we're gonna say 4. Was that the consensus?
That was my suggestion. Does anyone else want to make a different suggestion?
I think you had 2 hands up, Roger and Paul.
Sorry. And Paul, yeah, I've got.
I think 4 is good, but I also wanted to, I got kicked out, so I wasn't sure what Jason was saying. Are you volunteering to compile the hours?
He's volunteering a form that enables us to compile the hours for him.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, beautiful. So I'll use that too for our butterfly, because there are a phenomenal amount of hours that go into that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and if we could record I've been thinking about that for a long time, that people put in so many hours and it's never recognized.
Okay.
Well, and think about all the hours that the clubs themselves put into making the stories happen, their own competitions.
Yeah.
The amount of Rotary sweat is awesome.
Okay, Roger, you had a.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I'm assuming that this doesn't relate necessarily directly to projects for our club. I mean, this sounds selfish, but I mean, Diana spends an awful lot of time on the Hurricane Recovery Committee. There are 2 meetings a week. There's all the other stuff. She writes the updates that goes to RIBI here. I do a lot of stuff with Jaipur Lim almost on a daily basis. I have to say I've never recorded all the hours, but I assume that can count as well, does it? Even though it's not directly related to our club?
It does.
Yeah.
Rotary hours.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's more of a member engagement. This is how many service projects will your club complete?
Oh, sure.
But members and engagement was where we tracked hours and how many members are involved in things at the district level.
Yeah.
Yeah, but from the point of view of a drop down, I think that
a drop down,
information for Jason.
It
Okay.
would help to have a drop down for hours put into things beyond club level.
Yeah.
Then Jason needs to get those. Needs to know what those are to put them into the drop-down menu.
All right.
One other thing
Just
too.
club, district, and beyond, maybe.
One other thing too, because we do need to start counting the joint efforts we do. Like, for instance, the Jaipur Lim, we generally help with that. We donate to that and things like that. When we do the Kidney Foundation, so we need to think about that as well. I don't know if that's something separate than this or not, but that should be in the spreadsheet as well.
We can always do a mid-year revision as we investigate and make sure we know where things are supposed to be tracked.
Okay.
The key to data.
Amaryllis.
Yeah, I think that for agreeing with Don's coming back to this on a regular basis, as long as each of us keep track of what we are doing individually for Rotary, then at that point where we reconvene on this topic, then we can then add all these things and update everyone and our records, our club records, with what each of us are doing, because I'm also doing Caribbean partnership and other things. So it's it all adds up.
Okay. So I'm going to hit save and move on because it's 9:51.
Okay.
For young leaders, we had
No goals.
we can choose what we're going to do. If my understanding is we would like to encourage and help out with an existing Rotaract club, but not necessarily found one of our own this year. We're not going to sponsor. So that's not one we're going to do. Inbound youth exchange students, we're not talking this year yet about committing to sponsoring youth exchange students, correct?
Right. Ryla, might we want to nominate to sponsor a participant in Ryla?
Yeah, John?
Hey, yes, okay, Amarillo.
I don't know this year, but in other years, what we have done, and just to put a little bit information here, what we have done is to sponsor a child in one of the 70-20 RILAs, of course. So we're trying to keep track of where there are RILAs, and we're trying to offer in this sort of a scholarship. Sometimes the thing is that the cost is so varied between one event and the other one, and sometimes was $95 and the other one all of a sudden was $200 and something. And so maybe we can just in the board meeting talk about this to make an allocation for that.
Yeah, there's no law that says we can't come back and add to the goals. They need to be done by end of this month, certainly for reporting for district, but we can always change later. Okay, public image is one I know we wanted to do some in. Strategic plan, I would like for us to do a strategic plan this year. And the difference is that a strategic plan is multi-year. Where do we see ourselves being in 3 to 5 years? What do we need to do to get there? I know some of our plans on updating websites and updating how we communicate and things like that are certainly strategic plan elements.
Yes.
So I would say yes. We haven't achieved it yet, but we're selecting that as a goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Online presence. Jim, we can't not. Social activities. How many social activities will your club hold outside of regular meetings? Now,
Does Wednesday count?
I would think Wednesday counts, but the idea is
Yes.
it's not 50 times a year or 30 times a year, or is it just one type of regularly recurring event?
I would say 30.
Yeah, I think it's the number of events, not the type of event.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you hold, 5 coffee mornings, that's 5 coffee. That's 5. Just
All
the
right.
fact that the same thing doesn't mean they're only one.
So I think, we don't have it every single week, so I think the Wednesday hangout would count. Update website and social media. How many times per month will the website or social media accounts be updated?
At least once.
Yeah, I would start with 1. We can always overachieve our goal, but if we're not doing it once, I mean, what the heck are we doing?
Why are we there? Yes.
I'd like to get it up to 2, but I'm not sure I'm going to commit to it yet because we're just getting started. Which reminds me, do we have an online committee yet, or who's been doing that? That's been Diana and Brent? Remind me, because I wasn't part of that last year.
Kitty has done a lot of recent updates.
Yes.
Okay.
I've only been putting in the meetings this year. That's basically most of what I've done.
Okay. Because I think one thing we need to fix is who, be very organized and make sure everybody knows who is updating and posting to what, so that we make sure things get done regularly and we know who to give information to be posted.
Okay, then.
I've been pretty much offline for the entire year, and so we do need that online committee.
In the answer to the question here, update the website and social media. How many times per month will your website be updated? I've been posting every meeting. That's an update. So it's going to be let's say 5 or 6.
Yeah, for us it's weekly, basically.
Yeah. So we start at 4. And then social media accounts, if we ain't doing 5, we ain't trying.
Yeah.
All right. Media stories. How many media stories will cover your club's project during the Rotary year? I would think 1 for finishing up the Women's Center project and 1 for Butterfly Storybook would be the minimum that we ought to try and do.
Yeah, I agree. And also there are media stories that we don't do about the Butterfly Storybook. For instance, when the awards were given in St. Thomas last year, or St. John, the local papers covered it. I think someone actually posted a to the Daily Snooze.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we need to track those, and when they're done, then we need to put a link up on the website and the Facebook page, and then note it on the list and make sure it's counted in our achievement.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, use of official Rotary promotional materials. From time to time, we can put links up on our Facebook and on our website, I would think.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah. And I think
we should certainly use Showcase again too for both those projects. Which I'm assuming counts as use of media.
We're almost done. Rotary citation, edit. Alumni network. That's basically what we are, but that's not hard for us to do.
Okay.
And again, I mean, we can have a meeting where we invite other alumni we know who maybe aren't part of a club right now and highlight.
But we can organize that with the chair, with William from Cayman. He's
alumni,
really
yes.
active.
Sure.
We do have quite a few alumni in our district.
Paul,
Yes.
Paul had his hand up. You're unmuted, Paul. Well, unmute yourself then. All right, I'm doing you, you're doing you. I'm not going to do you anymore. There you go. You're muted. Unmute yourself. Again, thank you.
It's my computer. It keeps doing foolishness. Anyway, I was going to say that we can get in touch with William, but Amaryllis beat me to it.
Okay.
But he's the one to get in touch with, and we could probably have him just speak on it or something like that, and that would be our event for, you know.
He also might be interested in using us as a venue for getting the alumni together, so that in fact he's our agent for getting them together.
Agent provocateur.
So that's something we should do.
Okay.
All right. It's 9:59, so I'd like to make sure we get through this and not run over too much. Member classification study. Technically, we're all supposed to have classifications. That's not hard to do. We don't really have a denominator for our community because we're internet, but we can at least, classification is a historic part of Rotary, and we should all know what our classifications are, and if we've never been assigned one, we should get that done. So we should at least update that. I would say we ought to do that.
No, I'm not going to talk to the media.
All right.
It's fake news. Enemies of the people.
It doesn't say all members. Since we've said we are going to have a couple of media events, then I think we can find a couple people to talk to media in the process of doing reporting on our stories. Leslie would be willing to talk to somebody about the Women's Center. I think I would be willing to talk to somebody. Roger, in terms of the Jaipur,
Yep.
would you be willing to try and get something going?
Yes, I can give that a try. I mean, getting to the media. Yes, okay, I can think. Let me leave that with me. I'll turn that around and see what else we've ever done. When it says media, we're talking outside of Rotary, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Outside of Rotary, but you know, sending a comment to the Daily Snooze as they're doing a thing on the butterfly storybook would count.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
It's not all members, so I think we ought to check that as reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Okay.
I'm thinking that we may get, local, picking up on what John said about awards in the local newspaper. I can see that I do know that in the past there have been announcements in local press about workshops, Jaipur workshops in the locations where they are. So that might be something we could. I'll have to research that.
Okay, let's bear in mind that Brent is media, so I'm sure he won't mind doing something.
Yeah. Just to finish up these two quickly, development program for members. For doing makeups, there are online trainings at Rotary.org that people can do, and it can count as a makeup if they spend at least a half hour at it. So getting organized enough to know what's there and suggest it. And also the training that Jackie's going to go through for assistant governor, if she goes through. We're all very involved in, or many of us are involved in the district level at something or another. Yeah. I believe this is where that gets counted. And I think mostly we just need to get a little more organized about continuing it, recording it, getting it in place, encouraging people to do it. So I would say let's pick this one as a goal as well.
Okay.
It may not be a complete development program, but we can at least start getting things on paper. And then collaboration with a non-Rotary partner, that's basically, we've done it already. And we're continuing with the Homeopaths Without Borders.
Sorry.
Yeah?
No, sorry. In an email I sent today, there is the link for the Rotary.org training. But anyways, learn.rotary.org.
Okay, good.
That's good to do. I'd appreciate everybody knowing how to get into Club Runner and into Rotary.org.
Yes. Your homework for this week, please log in, and if you discover you don't remember your password or you can't get in, then let us know next week, because we need to make sure all members can get in here and check from time to time. You can always check for us. You can always look and see what the goals are here at Rotary Club Central. That's one reason why I wanted to make sure everything got in early so that all of you can see it when you've got a question. It's 10:04.
Yep.
So I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Next week we have the 11th of August. Have we pinned that down? Have we got John Smarch coming in, or is it going to be the First Impressions webinar?
No, we have, it's on the website. We have the Rotary coordinator.
Rotary coordinator, okay.
Yeah, talking to us on membership trends. Mm-hmm.
All right. Then, who would like?
The other reason for everyone to make sure they can get on the website is that that's where you get the updated version rather than the president didn't reprint it today.
All right, who volunteers to lead us in the four-way test? Dennis.
I'll volunteer if I'm allowed to just say one quick thing. I know St. Croix, or the U.S. Virgin Islands, is preparing to receive our President Barry Raston next week. And so a lot of things are going on in relations to that.
Yeah. We were
And-
wondering, Jackie, I didn't have a chance to talk to you, but would you be willing to be sort of our official club emissary to that?
I can. I'm performing. I just want you to know that. We've been doing some rehearsals. Amaryllis and I have spoken about how we can possibly do live recording, videoing of it. So that's one of the things that may happen if we get it going.
All right.
Jackie, I'd like some details of your performance. Is this a song and dance act, or what that you're actually doing?
Well, for Rotarians, it was Rupert's idea. And I've talked about the Rotary song that we revised for We Are the World before.
Yeah.
And we're performing it the night
Excellent.
at Government House.
Excellent. Well, Amaryllis is in charge of filming that then.
Jackie, who else is in the group?
Lionel Downer,
Oh,
Cheru, which is Rupert's daughter,
yeah.
we call Christensen.
Oh, you've got the professionals in there. That's great.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get a live showing of these things. We're working on it, and there will be also a recording that Jason and Rupert will organize and post after the event in the district website. But Jackie and I are trying to get the live feed on, courtesy of this club, of course. And as soon as we can get it organized, it will go through your president and to the rest of us.
All right.
All right.
Jack, you lead it.
Things Rotarians think, say, or do, is it the truth?
Is
it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all?
They're all concerned.
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Will it
Build goodwill and better friendships.
And will it be beneficial to all?
Will
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Is it fun? Yes,
It is
Will be
absolutely
fun.
fun. Yes.
Don't wear socks.
Around the world.
Okay.
Howard.
Right around the world.
Cheers,
Have a
everyone.
great weekend.
Cheers.
Awesome meeting. Thank you.